League of Legends is a huge game, capable of giving thousands of hours of entertainment, and one of the coolest esports experiences in the world. However, there is a drawback to this, a huge amount of rules and information that could be comparable to almost a textbook, so getting in can be a little intimidating. Fortunately, most of the gameplay can be understood by knowing something quite simple: classes and positions. When you play a game of League of Legends, your contribution is split into two identities: the class you play as and the position you play in. In order to achieve a great performance, a player has to master both sides of their nature, so let's take a look at them. A class is the role that a champion takes in the game, the duty the character fulfills in their team, how they build and how they fight. On the other hand, a position is the role of the player in the team. How do they fit into the lineup and where do they play? And because this system has certain depth, let's have a closer look at what does this actually mean. A class is the role that a champion takes in the game, what the character does. There are 6 classes: Mage, Marksman, Fighter, Assassin, Tank and Controller. Each class has a strong and weak points, so let's have a look at them. Mages are devastating sorcerers that deal burst damage from range, usually magic damage. However, they tend to be fragile characters with limited movement options. Their main objective in a match is to control the battlefield. By using their abilities, mages methodically zone enemies and instantly disintegrate those who dare to step into their range or fall into one of their deadly traps. Mages are flexible and quite useful in most situations, as they are resolute and fast with their kills, and the range provides them certain safety. Marksmen are expert sharpshooters that deal sustained physical damage from range, but just as mages, they are both fragile and immobile. Their main objective in a match is to rise and outperform. Their damage gradually grows as the game progresses, eclipsing other classes with unparalleled damage in the later stages of the game. However, this also means that they will need a lot of gold and time to reach this point, so they have to manage their leads in order to make sure they become the ultimate weapon as soon as possible. Marksmen are especially useful in the later stages of the match, as their constant, reliable damage from range can become unstoppable. Fighters are courageous warriors that deal sustained damage, usually physical, while also being tough enough to endure enemy attacks. And even though both dealing and resisting damage sounds like the best deal, they are the only class without neither range nor mobility, so their fights are heavily polarized about their positioning. Their main objective is to strike amidst the battle, constantly dealing damage to the enemy while keeping them from running away, establishing a dead zone everywhere they go. Fighters are the most populated class in League of Legends, so there is an extreme variety of them, with some of them being much more mobile than usual, some of them not being that tough, and every possibility in between. Assassins are remorseless rogues that quickly dash into the enemy and deal burst damage, existing both magical and physical damage assassins. However, their amazing mobility and explosive damage is balanced out by their very fragile nature, and their need to get into melee range to do their job, putting them at great risk. Their main objective in a match is to eliminate key targets by sneaking through the flanks and quickly assassinating them. They also create a permanent state of danger in the map for the enemy, as branching out from the team facilitates their job in killing loners. Assassins are the most extreme case of do-or-die champions, looking extremely powerful when they eliminate the enemy in the blink of an eye, but also feeling totally lackluster when they can't get the job done and die attempting it. There's just no middle ground for them. Tanks are resolute titans that resist a great deal of damage while leading the charge with their mobility. On the other hand, their damage contribution to a team tends to be barely noticeable and they lack range. Their main objective in the battle is to lead the fray, making sure that fights are fought in their team's turn, either by engaging the enemy or disengaging from the enemy's offensive. They also have to resist damage, allowing allies to strike the enemy while they take the hit. Tanks are especially useful when team fighting, structuring the fight around them and allowing allies to act freely. Controllers are ingenious assistants that help their team. They lack relevant damage, their defenses are little to none, and they are usually immobile, only having range as a plus, but they have something that makes them special over all other classes: utility. Utility refers to any kind of spell that allows allies to break their own limits and do things that they can't usually do, from healing and shielding them, to giving mobility, empowering attacks, and much more. Their main objective in a match is to tip the scales of fights by empowering allies and hindering enemies. Because on top of powering allies up, they also have a variety of spells to set enemies up and interfere with their plans. Controllers are useful champions when they fight along allies that can make use of their special characteristics, but barely can do anything when they find themselves alone. And that's the basic for classes. Before we continue, there's a couple of things that are important to keep in mind. First, not every champion from a certain class is the same. Every champion has something special that differentiates them from the rest of their class, and lots of champions break the very rules of the class they belong, making them special. And second, champions are not limited by their class. While every champion is part of one of these 6 classes by default, you can change the way most champions are played with your choice of runes and items bought. And with classes out of the way, let's take a look at the positions. As we mentioned before, while classes represents the role of the champion, the position represents the role of the player. They are top, jungle, middle, bottom, and support. You can play any class in any position, but every position naturally favors some champions, so let's discover how does this actually work. First, we have top. The position of top carries the image of the strong, reliable, independent veteran, as top is usually regarded as the 1v1 lane, an isolated island in which individual skill is tested in a heated duel with little to no intervention from other allies. As this lane is far from base and doesn't receive much assistance from other positions, endurance and ability to stand for long periods of time without going back to base are key factors for a champion to succeed here. This means that the most usual champions in the top lane are either fighters or tanks, although some mages appear every now and then. The jungle is comprised by all the space in between lanes, and junglers have to balance their time killing the monsters that populate this area with abusing enemies from other lanes. This gives them the image of strategists, planning their routes through the map taking into account the state of the 3 lanes and what the enemy jungler could be doing. As jungling mainly consists in fighting against monsters with nearly unavoidable attacks, champions that can endure more damage without going back to base will have more efficient clears. Additionally, junglers are supposed to ambush enemies in the lanes, so mobility is another helpful characteristic for them. This makes fighters, tanks, and assassins the main classes that go into the jungle, but as this position involves considerable PvE action, whether a champion can or cannot jungle is decided by their abilities, so you can find here any class. Players in middle carry the image of the ace, a player that holds their own in the fight against the enemy mid laner at the same time that they should be able to briefly leave their lane in order to help their teammates out in any part of the map. This is the shortest lane, so recalling and coming back to lane is faster, giving a chance to not very durable champions to lane here. Additionally, being in the middle means that no place on the map is too far, so champions that can quickly collaborate in any nearby fight or move fast are highly valued. This means that the mid lane is usually inhabited by mages and assassins, but some controllers are also easily found here. Bot laners are the geniuses that receive large amounts of support in order to make sure they will be powerful as the game closes, but sometimes that will also make them the prime target of the enemy team. As the bot laner is accompanied by the support, this lane allows champions that struggle in the early game to have an opportunity. Marksmen have been the only real option when it comes to bot, as they are usually in need of support's protection during their first minutes. This made the identity of bot laner and marksman almost interchangeable. However, nowadays this is a debatable topic, as you can't be surprised if you find mages and fighters in the bot lane. Anyways, we will talk about this in an upcoming video, so let's keep going. Last but not least, support players are the intel units that work hard in providing info about the battlefield and keeping their team safe while interfering with enemy plans. They provide the most vision in the team and usually keep track of enemies' spells cooldowns. The support player accompanies the bot laner in the bottom lane and should make sure that this player can go through the first minutes of the game successfully, so champions with abilities that either protect them or facilitate their job in killing enemies are crucial. While the logical answer for filling the support position would be a controller, and you will undoubtedly see plenty of them here, it is not rare at all to see tanks and mages taking the role of support. And those are the 5 positions that every team divides into. Each position is like a specialization of the game, so be sure to try them all and find what suits you best. Another thing that should be taken into account is that champions are not restricted to play in any specific position. Most champions are designed to perform into 1 or 2 particular positions, but players have full control of how do they play, and once you get into the champion selection screen, you are free to take any champion to any lane. And that's it for classes and positions. Either a beginner or experienced player, I hope you found this video useful. However, if you still wanna know more about this topic, in the next video we will have a look at subclasses and the hidden design of the class system. There is also some additional info in the description, such as recommended champions for beginners and a full list of champions and their classes, so be sure to check them out. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video or found it interesting, please like this video, leave me a comment and subscribe for more. I'm just starting, so I'd really love to read your opinions. If you know someone who's starting at League of Legends, please send this video their way, maybe it can help them. Thanks for watching this video and hope to see you in the next one. See ya!